Hey, what's going on, guys? Glorious Gun here. And today we have another ranked video here for you. We did make it into gold, which I'm pretty grateful for. It was an arduous journey through silver and actually disrupted my upload schedule a bit just because I was having difficulty getting footage and then feeling a little demoralized by the back and forth on the climb in silver, especially when my latest video I had just hit plat within season 0, but the reset in season 1 has definitely been difficult. But I think thankfully we're going to be back in that original rank of plat very soon. Working my way through gold now, so fingers crossed on that. But for today, this is going to be a response to a comment I just recently got. This is from an individual named Wolfen4623. They kind of asked me for a Vanguard guide in a sense, and while I don't think I'm honestly the authority on how to play Vanguard in any sense, I think there are plenty of other guides I could wholly recommend that have already ascertained like far larger views than I, right? That might do a better job, either character specific or just how to play the class in general. But I figured I could provide my insight all the same since I am commentating my journey through my rank climb, right? And actively learning as well. That's another important thing to kind of keep in mind. I've had a lot of really good comments come to me from individuals that have just kind of shared their thoughts extensively, mind you, across a lot of my other videos. Almost like in an essay format, right? Which is very flattering that they would take the time to extrapolate their thoughts and kind of let me, pick their brain a bit in a sense. But that aside, we're just going to highlight kind of bullet points that I would say are important in regards to playing the Vanguard role, and then it's going to be in respect to your teammates and then how you can benefit them while also playing around them. And then lastly, understanding that they have an equal importance in regards to maintaining their role and performing what they need to do duty wise. And if they fail to do that, there are ways to compromise around that, but ultimately it is a team game. You do need your teammates to kind of structurally work together, and that's not always going to be the case. So, you know, in that sense, you want to perform the best you can, right? So without further ado, let's just kind of hop into it. This is going to be a little bit off the cuff, but I think a lot of what I've said I've mentioned in other videos, and other YouTubers can probably attest to the information I'm going to provide, right? So, as a Vanguard, your core purpose is going to be damage mitigation, and that's going to lead into a core understanding of the different tank archetypes that we have present. Not all tanks are built with the same intent or equally, right? You know, the Vanguard as a whole is known to have like a higher health pool and sustain to some degree that allows them to take a lot of frontline damage and disrupt the enemy line, but it's also reliant on their healers and being in the sight line of healers, right? So outside of staying with your team and being in a viewable area in which you can actually receive heals and also even retreat back if your healers are being dived by their DPS, right? Like if your backline's getting fucked with, that's just going to start to corrode your whole team. And then before you know it, you don't have enough HP like I do in this instance. I'm back in Bruce mode, and this was a pretty easy cleanup for them. So that's just something important, and you have to keep that in mind as your core essential goal in Vanguard, right? But there are two different archetypes of tanks that I see. You have a character like the Hulk or Captain America, or let me see. I would say Thor is kind of a hybrid between the two, but primarily I'll use Hulk here, right? He is a dive tank. Venom's another good example. Their intent and purpose is, yes, to soak up damage in the front line, but they also have enough mobility, and their kits are built around essentially singling out lower health heroes and then eliminating them as such. And that's not always going to be the case, right? Because it's dependent on the coordination of the enemy team. But you ideally want to go for healers, because once the healers are gone, as we discussed, that's going to lead to the corrosion of the rest of the team. So right here you can see I dove in, they were in their back line, but I was able to press along with the support of my team to clean up those kills, and now they were reset. So that kind of like prohibited them and wasted a lot of their time, and now their last push has to be more efficient and even more stressful, right? Because they're operating within you know, X amount of time. I apologize for the lack of typical numerical information you would find on the match layout. This was recorded in the theater mode, and the only way to keep the scoreboard up was to also have the health bars and other team information, which I find kind of obfuscates the UI a lot. So this is a rank game, but I do apologize that kind of cursory info is not present. I wonder if this is a bug just with the current version of the game, but I digress. So with that in mind, that's kind of your core objective as Vanguard, right? And then understanding the difference between dive tanks and shield tanks like Strange and characters that still have like a lot of combat effectiveness, but they're primarily there to block damage for your DPS and your healers so that they can use their damage output ability to kind of contest with the enemy team, and then from there you can move in and potentially have more gameplay impact with your ultimate, or in Strange's case, I think the ideal would be using your ultimate Agamotto, and then if you have enough dark magic built up, especially to 100, that's going to hit twice because it's going to be hitting their spirit in addition to their physical form. So that's just like an ideal way to optimize your damage in a tank format, even though you're not traditionally a DPS. But every character is a little different, and their capacity to do things is definitely varied, and as such I think it's important to play a lot of different characters in the Vanguard role. We've mentioned one tricking before, and I mean, if you're really fervent about character mastery, which I think is the goal, I say, go for it. If you really don't feel comfortable playing any other character, or you feel like you have a high impact character that you want to stay playing, for the most part, I totally get that. I've done it similarly in the past, but I don't think that's going to be as effective as playing flex. I think ideally, as a player, you would want to play all three roles and have heroes that you can kind of understand uniformly. It's just beneficial for you to kind of understand how a lot of the characters are working, especially when you're combating them as your respective Vanguard character. But B, just being able to switch things up, and you'd be surprised how the game kind of turns in that sense, especially if it's going really badly. One character switch could lead to a whole momentum shift, and it's happened a lot. I'm sure people can attest to it happening on either side, especially in your respective games. But that aside, I know there's a lot of tangential thoughts here, right? uh, you do want to be mindful of what your utility is in respect to your team you're given, right? And your teammates are going to vary in terms of efficacy, but I think if you're playing like a really high DPS, contestive enemy team, and you find that as soon as you step out, regardless if you're playing a shield or a dive tank, everyone's health is getting melted, um, and it's just not essentially providing you any time to play the game in any feasible way because you're just getting absolutely shredded. That would be a suggestion to me to at least make an adjustment, not only on your end, but potentially your teams as well. Like, if they have a lot of high precision heroes and we're not getting a lot of high precision kills, maybe they want to switch to a Punisher, so that way we just have like that infantile kind of contested damage, especially if you're, pairing with a rocket, right, and you're getting that additional bonus, which is going to be like another kind of bullet point aspect of playing Vanguard as well. And this goes across playing any role or character in this game, but you want to play synergistically with your team and giving whatever benefits you can. I think you can see throughout this respective game, just because I'm playing Banner, I do get a health benefit being an anchor, but I'm really playing so my Iron Man has that insane gamma boost radiation boost, and that already brings his pretty effective damage to an even higher pillar and makes him way more viable in the field. And that applies to if the other tank wants to play Strange, he also gets that innate damage variation on his dark magic. So Hulk, I think, is very effective in and of himself, but sometimes I think if he's not providing that specific synergy, he's not my first choice for a character. And I think ideally you do want to get as many boosts as you can on your team. That would just be the ideal composition, but people are going to play characters they play. So being able to switch and provide some kind of addition for your team is another reason and incentive to kind of know how to play a lot of different characters. At the minimum, I would suggest at least like one shield tank like Strange. He's pretty uniformly praised, right? And has a lot of utility with his portal, with his shield. He actually does a fair bit of damage as well. and has a good ability to backtrack and provide mitigation for his team so they can kind of regroup. But yeah, these are just some of my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. A bit jumbled, I know, but hopefully you extrapolated some detail from that. And I really appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll have more content for you soon.